looked at your agendas, you know that you are in for a bit of fun now. Nick Doody is well known to supporters of One Law for All in the Council of Ex-Muslims, having performed at our previous events. And I'm sure that all of his extensive comedy writing, television, radio credits, and his whole CV pale in comparison to performing to our supporters. I know, though, that this is a perfect venue for an appreciative audience for his style of political comedy. Please give a warm welcome to a very funny man, Nick Doody.
Hello. Thank you very much. This doesn't feel like a stand-up gig at all. I always find these things completely terrifying and very little idea what to say to you. So if what I'm about to say seems scrappy and ill thought out, those are the notes. So be impressed that it makes any kind of sense in the English language. Also, I got to sleep about 6 in the morning, just up with a cough and cold, and a pimple that's coming up my nose, which I think we can all agree Allah is trying to stop me being here. And if you ever noticed that when people quote God, God always shares their prejudices. It's an interesting one. No one ever says, well, I personally really like gay people, but unfortunately God forces me to oppress them. It's always the other way around. And I find that very interesting, especially when it's something really relevant. Athletes are forever very fond of thanking God for the gold medal. The silver medal's not so much, but the gold medal. Whereas I think they should be forced to say in full, I'd like to thank God for helping me win this gold medal, rather than saving all those thousands of people in an earthquake. That makes some sense. This isn't going to be very stand-up-y, I'm just going to talk. Groucho Marx once said that I wouldn't want to belong to any club that would have me as a member, which is nice and funny. And I wouldn't want to belong to any club where one of the rules of the club is if you try and leave the club, you'll be killed. That's the reason this is incredibly important, okay? There's people trying to leave Islam. It's not as easy. I left the Catholic faith, and it wasn't easy. We've already had people talking about that. It's just very, very difficult to let down the people you love in that way. You know, you can't... I'd like to say that every Christmas I'm just smug in being right, but it doesn't feel like that. I'm the one sitting at home while they all go to midnight mass and I steal bits of turkey. And it's an interesting one. What strikes me about religion, that no one who is religious ever seems to pull on this point, is that it's an amazing coincidence that everyone who turns out religious seems magically to pick the religion of their family. And just that on its own should really flag up there's something a bit suspicious about how this is passed on. But no one ever does. I had an argument with my sister, which, well, what do you believe now? And I had to point out to her, if we were having this argument both as Afghans, it would be about Islam, not Catholicism. And she just couldn't bring around to this. But I think it's something that no parent has ever said about their child is, I can't wait till he can speak so we can find out what religion he is. It doesn't work that way, right? And if it did, it'd be hilarious. You're a Jew. Oh, this is going to be awkward. The right to opt out of anything is incredibly important. I don't think you can call something a freedom unless you have the freedom not to do it as well. That's true of any religion, and it's true of lots of little social things as well. In my case, the right not to have children. I don't have kids, and people genuinely don't believe you if you say you don't want kids. People just think, there's just something probably wrong with his balls. But I genuinely don't. And if you get to your 30s and you don't have kids, people start feeling sorry for you without your permission. It's the really awkward thing. Myself and my girlfriend are in our 30s with no children and perfectly happy with that. But you know what they call people like us? A childless couple. Isn't that horrible? A childless couple. Sounds like the villains in a fairy tale. You know, a childless couple lived in the middle of a woods and they ate dwarves and all the trees died. Childless couple sounds like one of those books that Asda sells. You know, those misery lit. You know, she was born without a womb. He had nothing but dust in his balls. How could they ever have a happy life? Maybe through hobbies. And I think, screw you, man. We are not a childless couple. We're a couple who can drink as much as we like without social services giving a toss. That's what we are. Interesting one. I'm sometimes tempted to call myself a Catholic still, just because it allows me to still call the Pope a Nazi. I'll explain what I mean by this. Because a lot of stand-up comics like to go on about the Pope being a Nazi. But that's a bit unfair, right? If he was a Nazi as a child, he didn't have any real choice in the matter, and as soon as he was old enough, he got out of it. But that's my exact relationship with Catholicism. So I think, until they stop counting me as a Catholic, it's for you, Pope's a Nazi. It's important, right? We should stand up as being agnostics, atheists, ex-Muslims, ex-Christians, ex-Catholics, whatever it is, because otherwise we're counted as religious. They don't ask you, they just count you as one of them. That's why we have to stand up. Otherwise you have things like the census where they go, 70% of the country are Christian. Well, only 10% of them go to church regularly. Well, essentially if you said you weren't a Muslim or a Hindu, you would count as Christian. It's not good. It's easier, I think, than leaving Islam to leave a Christian faith. I mean, Christians write angry letters to the Daily Mail, but they don't firebomb your house. It's very difficult. And even coming out to my family as being an atheist, I can tell that as Catholics, there was a bit of them thinking, at least he's not a Protestant. It is very difficult leaving. And my Catholic family are properly Catholic as well. You were saying there that they weren't very strict Catholic. My family really are. But with every tradition, when I was about 7 years old, my Uncle Terry hanged himself in our front room on Christmas Eve, and they wouldn't take him down till the 6th of January. That's the only real proper joke you're going to hear from me. Genuinely, they're all practicing, every single one of my thousands of brothers and sisters. That's the other thing. If you're a proper Catholic family, you have a lot of brothers and sisters. They expand on a level Hitler would have been awed by. Genuinely. I have a brother who's training to be a priest. Doesn't even like kids. Amazing. Just properly. And at every family gathering, somebody will try to convert me again. Unbelievable. Including at my own mother's funeral, which I thought was a staggering piece of tact. This is at the wake after my mum's funeral, right? I carried the coffin, and it had been, of course, a big church affair, this big Catholic family. The bishop had turned up, all the big hats doing their routine. And afterwards, my cousin said to me, I couldn't help notice that you were singing along with some of the hymns there. Maybe you're changing your mind a bit. Maybe you're thinking of coming back to the fold. And I had to go, no, I'm just not a dick. What on earth is she expected to do at my own mother's funeral? Is she thinking that during the hymns I go, well, this is nonsense. Just stand up. What are you talking up in heaven? She's in the box. Look. It's my mother's funeral. Of course I'm going to sing along with them rather than make it a horrible affair. First of all, that's number one. Number two, I am weirdly agile enough in my mind to be able to sing a song without believing all the words in it are true. Sorry to disappoint her, but I don't really live in any colour of submarine.